Stop your full body or body part split routine. If it's not right for you, it is killing your gains. We're going to talk about this right now. I'll start with the first one. If overall strength, especially strength on specific lifts, is your goal, then full body is probably superior for most people. And I think it really boils down to more frequent practice of the exercise you're trying to get stronger at while you're strong or not fatigued. So in other words, the more you can practice a lift and not be fatigued, the more you're going to train strength. And frequent practice improves the skill that's involved with the lift. And when it comes to specific lifts, like pick a bench press, for example, some of the strength that you can display has to do with your skill or the skill of the bench press. So practicing just like throwing a baseball, this is an easy one because people would agree with this. Throwing a baseball involves strength and speed, obviously, but it also involves technique or skill. Without the skill, strength, and speed, you're not going to throw the ball very far. Same is true for all the lifts, and practicing them without fatigue allows you to perfect the skill, and practicing them frequently in the sense that you're practicing more days a week versus less days a week, even if the total volume is the same, you'll get stronger at specific lifts better with full body.
Well, we've known this to be true in the performance world and the sports world forever. And it's like, that's why you go practice. You're refining the skill. You're improving every day without fatigue being a factor. I think, somewhere along the lines when fitness became more mainstream, like there was this thought that you had to get super exhausted and you had to really, squeeze every last ounce of energy out in your workout. And that became sort of the thought process going into workouts, when in fact that is a component and that still applies. Like if you're going to train to be able to improve your skill, you're going to get stronger as a result of that. Otherwise, we're kind of spinning our wheels.
I'd love to start a trend that says like, stop working out, practice lifting weights instead.
Practice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just think that, and I wish I actually understood that earlier parts of my career, because I absolutely was the other side, right? I was a workout wasn't successful unless I was hobbling out of the gym, or I didn't have a good workout unless I was so sore the next day. I was so wrong about the approach there. And I think we would have gotten so much further had I approached the lifting with this which is crazy for me, because I feel like I feel a bit ashamed, because I love the sport world so much, and I grasped that analogy so well. It's like, of course I would never grab a golf club and just start hacking away as hard as possible, expecting to see good results. No, I would go and break down the swing and just lightly use 50% or less the intensity. I mean, that's what they teach you even when you golf swing. Is like, don't even pull it all the way back, half swing, and just get that down. It's like, and so that applies to every other sport, yet we've approached working out so different. We've approached workout with the punishment attitude, or how much can I sweat or burn. And so I think so many people would see so much better results if they went into not only better results, but I also think you would find your consistency, which we know is so important to your results in training, because you're not like, I don't know how many times I didn't train the next day because I was like, I can't, I'm so sore, or it hindered my workout.
Especially in a split routine. I think that's a definitive difference, because like programmed to a full body, you can only hit so much volume for that particular body part. So, but the split routine, I mean, you could really go ham with a certain body part, and it's going to deter you from wanting to lift that body part.
Yeah. So the reason why this kind of got lost, because this was an understanding, by the way, in the early days of strength sports, all the athletes understood that exercises were skills, and they practiced them. They practiced them like you would practice any skill. But then bodybuilding became popular, where the competition became about presenting my body. Whereas in the early days, the competition was about what I could do. And then they do some body, some presentation, but it was also like, who can lift the most weight overhead with one arm or something like that. So what happened was exercise became a means to an end, rather than looking at the exercises themselves as valuable. So in other words, chest, and here's all your 10 exercises for chest, doesn't matter which one you do, just hammer your chest. Well, that's actually not true. Now, yes, they do work body parts, but the exercises themselves, the better they get performed, the better the results they give you as well. And then when it comes to strength, because we're not even talking about hypertrophy and physique gains, when it comes to strength, the better you perform an exercise, the stronger you are. So to give you an example, practicing bench press for 15 sets once a week you will not get as good at bench press than if you did 5 sets Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So still doing 15 sets, but now I'm practicing on a Monday, on Wednesday, and Friday versus all on Monday. And I'm not, if I do 15 sets of bench press on Monday, by the time I'm done with the 6th set, like I'm fried. Technique is out the window. Now I'm just training endurance and I can't really perfect my skill. So this is why when you look at the data on split routines versus full body, although, in fact, there was a recent meta-analysis done comparing the two, gains were very similar when volume was controlled for. However, when it comes to strength, there are studies that show that full body is better. There are no studies that show split is better. So when it comes to strength, which is very important, it's very important. It becomes less important the stronger you become. In other words, if you're super advanced, to go from a 400-pound bench press to a 425 bench press, that's the returns aren't really worth it. But if you're in your first 3 years of training, strength is very important. It makes a big difference. And so if you want to get stronger, practicing the lifts more often with less fatigue is more beneficial. So full body is superior.
I can't wait to hear your argument for the split. Because everything you're saying right now for full body, it seems like it would where are you going to come up with the reason where full body makes more? Where split makes more sense than the full body.
Well, the next one is more for full body, but we'll get to split because there are cases where split, can actually make sense. But the next point here is if you're short on time. Now this is an easy point to make, right? A full body routine, 3 days a week, requires less time in the gym than a 6-day split.
Right.
Hitting all the body parts with the same amount of volume. And this is the case, and we don't need to spend a lot of time here because this is the one time the average person gets it, I think. The one time the average person goes with a full body routine is, I can only go to the gym 2 days a week or 3 days a week. So I'm
so much more flexibility with it.
Yeah.
And, if you miss a workout, it's not the worst thing because you can have that full body routine the following day and you're going to catch up.
To me, that has always been the strongest argument for either one of these is when you train enough people for as long as we have, you start to pick up on common patterns and behaviors amongst the general population. We're not talking about the highly competitive competitor or the athlete that's a pro, like the average person, rarely ever doesn't have days that they miss. They have weeks where
it's not their career to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's not their career to show up to the gym, and they do it because they want to be healthy, they want to be fit, or their doctor said they need to. And so they're likely to miss a workout here and there. And that happens relatively frequently. It's not like they barely ever miss. They miss quite a bit.
Most people, even if they're consistent, will miss a couple workouts a month,
yes,
at least.
So in that case, man, whenever I was running some sort of a split with a client, that throws everything off. It was just much easier if I had a client that our goal was to train 3 full body workouts a week, and if they missed 1 or even 2 workouts in that same week, we would be okay. We still were keeping,
because the volume is consistent for the whole body. You don't develop. Here's what happens, Adam. I'll add to that. What workouts or what days on a split routine do people tend to miss when they do miss?
Yeah, like
the one they don't like the most.
Leg day.
Yeah, leg day for
that's
guys.
By the way, that's where that came from. By the way,
leg day.
Yeah, that's where
chicken legs and
Monday chest day became a joke, and where leg day comments. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
It came from guys working body part splits and skipping the workout, the muscle they don't want to do, and then or when it naturally misses, you show up back to the.
How often do they skip bicep day?
Yeah, you never. And listen, and by the way, speaking from calling myself out, like I was definitely that kid who. I missed a workout, but I wasn't missing arm day. You know what I'm saying? Like arm day never got missed, but leg day, oh shit, too bad I was sick on that day. You know what I'm saying? Next muscle.
I'm tired.
And so that's where all the memes come from is that, and so it's very common that people miss. And when they do, it really throws off a split where if you're in a full body routine, you tend to stay on pace and on track still, and there's still well-balanced physique.
All right, so here's a point for split, and this is kind of a 2-point. All right. if you're somebody that loves isolation or auxiliary exercises, you like all the weird movements and you like a lot of volume per body part, and you can handle a lot of volume per body part, well, a split is probably a funner workout for you, and it's better. The one you enjoy most is probably the one that you'll do the most consistent. In that case, I can see it. So, if I'm doing full body, I mean, legs, chest, back, shoulders, arms, I'm doing some core. I'm not going to be throwing in a ton of all these, one arm cable crossover, to upper chest, lower chest, machine press sideways. I'm not doing all these weird extras because I don't have time. I'm not going to be in the gym for 3 hours. But if today's chest, then I have an hour that I can spend hitting chest. Well, now I can do all those weird,
especially
crazy
all the
exercises.
machines. Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, really, I don't see a good case for machines in a full body workout routine. Because you're limited to the bangers, right? You only need the ones that move the needle the most. This one, you could literally just like spend all your time with chest, for that day, like all the different machines, and it is fun. There's a bit of novelty to that.
Yeah.
Now I know you're making the argument in the case for split here with that point, but I'm going to challenge that point for the simple fact we just had a great caller. She was an women's bikini athlete, incredible physique, competed for a long time. Just came off of having a kid and was following our MAPS anabolic program, right? Or Muscle Mommy. Muscle Mommy is what she was following. And she was really nervous because she's like, this doesn't have enough volume for my legs. I trained so many more exercises. And yet she had stuck through the process and saw incredible results. And it kind of baffled her because of how many more exercises that she typically does for her butt and her legs. And so my argument to you about that is you're right. You can do all these great machine exercises and isolation exercises, but then what ends up happening is because of that, you tend to don't get as much of the good ones and you get more of all the ones that are inferior. Yeah. And so, and this was a great, and I hope the boys can clip this in this conversation so the listener can see this conversation we had, because I think it's such a great point. You have somebody with a great physique, knows what she's doing, very smart trainer, right? Just was blown away by how little she thought we were programming legs. And it's like, it isn't. It's watch what your legs do, because what's in there is no fluff. It's all the stuff that's going to move the needle the most. And when somebody has a full day of a muscle, they might have one or two great exercises in there, and then it tends to have a lot of fluff. So what they count as the total sets, say you did 15 for one muscle group in there, well, 8 of it was fire. 7 of it was subpar. And so then this is another, in my opinion, case for full body, because if volume is accounted for, then and they each did 15 sets total in the week, and that one did all 15 in a workout, what ends up happening is 5 to 7 of it is really good lifts, and then the rest is these
kind of wasting your time.
Yeah, where the person who split it up in 3 days, what do they do?
Yeah, but you're 100%, and you're spoken like a trainer who's trained a lot of people. But there are those people who can handle a tremendous amount of volume. I'll use an extreme example: a pro bodybuilder who's doing 30 sets per body part per week. A full body routine doesn't make any sense.
Well,
they'd be in the gym for 3 hours.
So that, and to me, you're right. And was, once I got to that level, that's how I was training.
Yeah, because it made you would be in the gym too long.
Yeah, I'm in the gym 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? So I had all the time in the world to not only hit all the bangers, but then add all the other stuff. Yep. So I definitely am not arguing that point for a pro bodybuilder, a pro athlete like that. I mean, those people that their job is to be in the gym tend to do a pretty good job of covering. Like, this isn't me calling out, because I guarantee somebody's listening right now and is just like, well, Ronnie Coleman trained this way. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm not calling out the super bodybuilder who's like, definitely hitting the big body, but like they're definitely hitting the good lifts, and then they're doing a bunch more. I'm talking about the general pop that thinks they want to be or they want to look like that person, but you technically fall in the general population category.
Another category where I think a split can, for some people, be an advantage is for somebody who's really wanting to focus on a particular lagging body part. Now, you could definitely do this with a full body routine, but a body part split lends itself well to it because you have a day. You have a day where you're working that body part that's lagging, and you can go in and you can just focus on it, and you can prime it, and you can work the big banger, and then you can add a little extra volume on other areas. And so I think in that case, for some people, I think it works well. Whereas a full body routine, you can still do it. You just prioritize it in the workout.
Right.
But sometimes it's hard to hit that lagging body part because I'm also hitting chest, back, shoulders, arms.
Yeah, or you prime it really well and you learn, because it's really a connection issue for the most part a lot of times with the lagging body part. But that'll help you at least, rep through and rebuild and enhance that connectivity with, mind muscle. But there are ways to do it in full body. It's just not as obvious, I think, for people. But that's one way you can at least ensure that you're going to get it to respond.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Do you want to improve your squat without injuries? Do you want to have a stronger squat? Do you want to have a deeper squat? We have a free How to Squat Like a Pro guide. It's totally free, and you can get it right now. In it, we describe details, exercises, techniques, and ways you can improve your squat so that you start to squat like a pro. You can get it for free right now if you click on the link in the description below.
So this is my favorite case for it, or favorite argument for it. And this is kind of how it looked for me. I've told the story before on the podcast about the female competitor who told me I had weak shoulders, and I remember that that set me on fire, right? And so the way I
hurt your heart.
Yeah, it did. It just hurt my soul. This is where this is where I applied this. That from that moment on, I'm not kidding. It was now what everybody says, National Chest. It was National Shoulder Day. I did not miss Mondays with shoulders
first,
and it was first, and that was just it. It was if you really do have a lagging body part and you put it to the front of the line, that becomes now the workout you never miss, right? And I've applied this also. This was one of the ways I applied catching my legs up, because even when I admit that I was that young kid who skipped those leg days. Once I realized, I can't do that. Now legs become part of it. Then legs was the front of the line, right? So then it was just if I, let's say I trained her, and I'll tell you what this looks like. Let's say Monday is leg day, Tuesday shoulder day, Wednesday got sick, something happened, and then 2 days later I come back to the gym. Well, whenever that would happen to me, I started back over
on legs
again.
Yeah.
So I got the same or more volume always to that lagging body part to help bring it up. That's how I like that. I like if you have a lagging body part that you really, because when you're trying to balance the physique out and you have a lagging body part, it's actually okay if the other ones get left behind a little bit because you're out of balance.
That's
and so it's okay that week that I just gave as an example, I missed chest day. Chest was a strength at that point. Or I missed arm day. Yeah, it's okay because arms were strength. They can handle a week off. I can't miss legs. And so legs actually got hit an extra bit of time. And so then it worked to my advantage running a split even on weeks where I missed a day, because I would start the week back over on the week I'm supposed to. So I never missed that workout.
I agree. 100%. And then lastly, and this is why if you've listened to our show for a while, when this conversation comes up, we almost always recommend full body workouts. And that's this point. If you are like most people, versus the 5 or 10% of outsiders who have everything dialed, can handle a lot of volume. This is this is like your life. Then you're better off doing a full body. How the problem with this is a lot of people lie to themselves. There's a lot of people listening and watching right now who are like, yeah, I'm that 5%. No, you're not. You're probably not. You're how do you
tattooed right here?
Ask yourself this: when you're in a serious gym, are you one of the 5% of people in there that's most jacked and most impressive? If it's not you, then you're probably like everybody else, and you'll get better results with a full body routine.
Yeah.
And so that's just the one.
And I agree with you too. This is and I know what the research shows they're pretty even, but what people have to remember about the research and the studies and the people that tout that stuff all the time is that it's in a controlled environment. And nobody works in a controlled environment like that. You all have real life things that happen to you. And so when we put together a routine or when we recommend advice to people on the podcast, you've always got to remember that, because we always get some sort of pushback anytime that we counter or we challenge something that's said in a study, because we all don't live in a study. We all have real life stuff. And we also play the mental part of this too, the psychology behind behavior also. You have to factor those in when you're deciding to go on a diet, when you're deciding to follow a routine. You have to factor in the psychological part. You have to you have to factor in the behavioral component, and that's where we come up with the advice. It's the science. Obviously, that's important. That's the base of the direction that we make a point. paired with the psychology and the behavioral aspect
and real world experience.
And yes, and that's where you get this kind of conversation, and why we tend to lean that direction is not because I haven't seen an example of somebody in a body part split that looks amazing. Of course I have, you know?
So, I mean, look, just to back you up, like the meta-analysis that was last year, so the newer one. Remember, a meta-analysis is an analysis of many studies, and they're the most reliable when it comes to, well, what is the result? What's the answer? And here's what the meta-analysis shows, that when all things are controlled and consistent, there isn't a big difference, okay? However, when you factor in all the things that we talked about, the edge strongly goes to full body. So if everything's perfect, there's not a big difference. If you're not perfect, which you're not, and things are going to go, sometimes you'll miss a workout or whatever, full body is superior. And that's exactly the experience we had. 99% of people I worked with, which includes people that were serious, which includes people that really wanted to, get great gains, did better on full body workouts. All right, I'm going to switch to diet because I'm really getting a kick. We talked about this before a couple times now, where we compared grass-fed meat to traditional meat.
Yeah.
And the argument typically goes something like this. Like, grass-fed meat is better because it's higher in beneficial fatty acids. It's lower in inflammatory fatty acids. It's slightly higher in certain nutrients. It's higher in CLA, which is a fatty acid that's got some fat-burning properties. So it's just healthier, right? It's a healthier type of meat, which is true. It is true, especially if you eat a lot of red meat. Going grass-fed is going to be better for your health. If you don't eat a ton of meat, it's not going to be a huge difference, but if you eat a lot of meat, it makes a big difference. But the selling point that is really sticking with me, I'll give you guys an example. I actually took 2 screenshots to show the difference. So you're trying to decide between grass-fed or regular tri-tip, okay? 8 ounces of regular tri-tip is 392 calories. I could eat 2 more ounces of grass-fed and eat 375 calories. And
how much more protein?
62 grams of protein in the grass-fed versus 47 grams.
Wow.
So I can eat more. So more volume, less calories, more protein.
Wow.
So it's a win-win-win.
What a great, easy way to control calories or cut calories too. Let's say you're on a diet where you allowed all the other stuff. Like if you literally just changed that, like let's say, because
if you keep the ounces the same, the cuts the same, everything the same, you went to grass-fed, calories drop and protein goes up.
Yeah.
What a great selling point for our partner Butcher Box. I hope that they hear and the podcast or listen to what we say, because what's always sold again is the health benefits. And I think a lot of people now have heard that enough. Mm-hmm. But what's not sold enough is, hey, you want to eat more and get lower calories? Oh, and bump your protein while eating the same cuts?
Huge benefits of that.
That's crazy. Imagine going on a cut and not changing your meal. Everything's the same. Your same amount of meat.
You just switch to grass-fed.
You just switch to grass-fed.
Yeah. I mean,
what a big difference.
I don't think.
I compared 10 ounces to 8 ounces.
I knew that. I think you guys did too. I didn't think I realized how much though.
It's not a little different.
That's a big difference. I mean, jumping 20 grams of protein. I mean, it's hard to find 20 grams of protein. So that's a tough. So being able to add 20 grams to the same amount of ounces of meat that you're already currently eating, that's incredible.
I know. It's amazing. I know. I love it. I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't realize this, but I always feel better when I eat more grass-fed versus grain-fed. And I think part of it's the fatty acid profile. I eat a lot of red meat. Okay. So for people, like I eat probably a pound or more of red meat. That's not including other protein sources, but of just red meat almost every day. So I eat a lot. So I think that's part of it. But I think the other part of it is I end up with a better macro profile. And I have never really calculated it, but I bet my protein, of course, my protein goes up and everything's so much better off. Yeah. Speaking of diet, did you guys see the study on, I think it's brain cancer? What type of brain cancer? Glioma, if I'm not mistaken. Did you guys see the study on brain cancer and diet? I'm going to pull it up. This is flying right now. This is absolutely flying. So glioblastoma multiforme. So this is a type. This is a type of brain cancer. I mean, brain cancer in general is terrible.
That one, but
it's one of the worst.
Yeah, Doug, look up the 5-year. Look up the prognosis or the survival rate of glioblastoma multiforme brain cancer. Actually, I know what it is here.
Spell that out.
I already know what it is here. So they did a study where they took people with this cancer.
Yeah.
They kept some of them on a regular diet. Then they took some of them and put them on a keto diet. So this cancer has a terrible survival rate.
And they already have it.
They got it.
Yeah.
This is it's like if you have this, it's really bad.
It's a death sentence.
I mean, it's just tough. It's tough, and you know, there's always miracles. And I want to be careful how we say this because somebody listening may be suffering from this. And I just want a little side note: there is data to show that when you lose hope, you also lose your survival rate also goes down. So be careful when you go and you get a terminal prognosis. There are some studies that suggest, and when you talk to surgeons and doctors to tell you this, when people are like, that's it, I'm going to die, they tend to die. So even if you have this prognosis, there is a chance of survival. But nonetheless, it's very aggressive. It's a bad one. The people who had a regular diet, their 3-year survival rate was 8%. So the people who just ate normal, 8% of them made it 3 years. People who on a ketogenic diet, 66%.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is a massive.
So there's
difference.
there's two big things happening there. Because like you just said before you said that stat, I've experienced firsthand with my family that has suffered from cancer, and I've seen clear differences between the family members who got it and instantly began to fight.
Yeah.
Instantly began to change diet and habits and do their own research and doing everything they can to prolong or potentially reverse. And then I've had other family members that would say things like, I've had a good run, you know, and it was a good time. Like, kind of threw in the towel about it. And even if they said they kind of weren't, they kind of like mentally, you could just see it. You could see that they were, and there was a huge difference. So I think what you're highlighting is not only obviously what the diet can do, but also the mentality.
Yeah.
Back to your original point is those are the people that are like, you know, to go on a ketogenic diet is a radical diet. That's not like a, hey, eat about, you know what I'm saying?
That's not like structure.
Yeah,
that's a good point. They know they're doing something.
Oh yeah, that's a strict diet, very strict diet.
Especially one for cancer. This is a traditional ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clinical version.
It's like moderate to low protein, no carbs. Like you even cut out carbs in your toothpaste carbs, like nothing high fat.
And you also got to keep in mind those people, if you've been, you have been with people like that, like, man, their cravings and appetite, you know, is always up and down, and depending if they're doing chemo or not, so it's challenging from what I've seen, very challenging to follow a strict diet. So you've got somebody there who is not only following the optimal diet for that, but also is fighting, that cares.
66% though, I mean, the diet played a big role in that. And it's pretty remarkable. It's just flying because you rarely ever see a dietary intervention with cancer, at least in a study, that shows this. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal, it wasn't a huge study. The reason why it was such a big deal is it follows along with what there's a lot of doctors and individuals who have said this, especially about brain cancers in particular. And it's just, look, here's the deal. Like cancers in general, not all of them, so this isn't 100% true. There is a group of people that will say that what's called I think it's the Warburg effect, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Doug looked that up, so I know I'm not saying it wrong. Cancers aggressively consume carbohydrates and sugars aggressively, and starving them of those and going ketogenic often slows down or can kill.
The growth.
It's the Warburg effect. Yeah, it's a metabolic phenomenon observed in many cancer cells where they preferentially use glycolysis to generate energy, even in the presence of oxygen. So going ketogenic can kill or weaken some of these cells. It seems to be particularly true for the brain cancers. So it's pretty remarkable. But then again, back to the other point, like I used to train a lot of surgeons that worked with people who, and you know, God bless them, man. What a tough job. They would come and tell me these stories. And it's like, I don't know how you do it. But they would, like, no joke, at least 5 of them, this topic would come up and they'd say, oh, I could tell when a person gives up that it's that and their health will decline. Yeah. I said, really? You really think that that's why? That because they gave up? And they said, absolutely. And these were like logical, science-based doctors.
Don't you feel like it's very similar to what we've seen too, and most people can relate to this, where they've seen a family member who has lost a spouse that they've been married to for 50 years or whatever like that. Like their whole life,
rapid decline.
Their health goes down fast,
super fast, super fast.
Definitely something to. I mean, we had Dr. Roy von Togma. I think is how you pronounce his name. just and it all resonated with me because it's just the presentation of like, you know, a positive outlook versus a negative outlook from the very beginning of it. It's like you're trying to, you know, organize all your efforts around it. It's like it's going to determine a lot. Like your psychology going into it's going to determine a lot.
You know, I've thought about it because I've been around it, like how I would be, and obviously the easy thing to say is like, oh, I would be this way, but you always wonder.
You never know. Yeah,
you always wonder, like, if you got hit with like news like that, you know, would you be the same fiery person who attacks like how you attack everything else in your life, or would all of a sudden that totally change?
I've seen it a few times where I've seen it where they fight, but then because the cancer starts to get aggressive, they start to. It gets nasty, dude.
Yeah.
It gets really tough and really nasty.
And then ugly treatment process.
I had someone really close to me who was very. She was very Christian. She had a very strong faith, and I'd never seen anybody maintain that level of faith and grace. I mean, she was terminal. I mean, she shouldn't have made it 4 months. She made it a year and a half. And when I used to own my studio, she would come in and I'd train her. She was family. And she'd come in and her, you know, hair falling out from the chemo, and, you know, she'd get ascites, where it's all this fluid retention in her midsection cause all this pain. And she would always come in and she would ask everybody how they were doing. And she had this, and she'd changed the lives of everybody around her.
Yeah.
Even though it took her life, it took a while, but she changed the life. I'd never seen anything like that. It was really, really incredible. So yeah, but you're right. Like in that position, what would you?
I know. It's easy to say when you're not. Oh, I would do this stuff, but then getting hit with that news is totally different.
I know, crazy. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, are you struggling to see results with your butt workouts? Are your glutes not responding? We have a secret to a great butt guide. Now, this gives you strategies, exercises, nutrition tips on how you can develop a great backside. You can download it for free right now by clicking on the link below in the description. Speaking of diet, so your fat jokes have gotten to me, Adam.
Hey, bro, I saw your Max Lugavere video that's going viral right now, and I'm like, bro, you were looking like Jordan Peterson video.
I know, dude. You know what? So here's
camera adds 10 pounds. Directly to the face.
Give me the one. Hey, can we switch to the camera that takes 10 pounds
karma, dude, for all the.
You know, it's funny because I guess maybe this one is like shooting you straight on, so it doesn't. But and then when you go to others,
when you go sideways,
I think it has something to do with that.
You know what it is? So here's the problem. Here's my challenge, right? My challenge is I always on and off I deal with gut health issues, and what's happened is, and I've talked about this before, my gut health has become this wonderful barrier. Or should I say, it controls how I eat and how I feed myself, and it really is a
natural regulator for you.
It's a natural checks and balances. Yeah. So my tendency is trying to get as big as possible. I have this. It's still a mental illness that I have with that. Just get as big as possible. But my gut health stops it. It's like a gift from God. Now I see it. I'm like, okay, I know why you gave me these gut issues. Stuff. He's like, no, we're not going to keep you from killing yourself by trying to get too big. And you know what's going to happen is you push your calories too high or eat all these foods, you'll get gut issues. It'll take you back. So that's always it. But whenever my gut health is really good, then I tend to go off and I push it and I get bigger and I feel stronger and I like it and I keep going. And I just went too far, dude. I'm like, I'm so far right now. We went to Hawaii. We went on vacation. Came back, I'm feeling like not good, man. I'm just not feeling good, except for when I work out and I get pumped and my ego feels great. It's just not feeling good. My sleep is off, and it's like, this is bad. So I just sat down with my wife, and I'm like, my health is not great. I'm gonna reverse it. So I've been reversing. So
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you? So this is you coming out to tell the audience.
I'm gonna go on.
So you hold you accountable.
Yeah, dude.
So now they're gonna ask you.
It's so annoying.
You ever
I'm
notice
walking around.
That's what everybody does here. You know that right now. We all wait to say anything out loud. You know what I'm saying? And then once we say it out loud, you know that you have to because it's like it's not just. It's one thing to tell your friend or tell someone else. It's another thing to announce it on a damn show. Everybody's gonna be
careful.
Asking.
Once you leak out, it's like, oh, now you're bound to that.
I'm walking around like around 230, which is like the heaviest that I ever can walk.
And
I'm not built like Justin.
I was gonna say, I don't like you being heavier.
I'm not like Justin. Justin carries size well. He's an athlete. He's a big boy.
He's husky.
Yeah, I'm not like that. So 230 for me is like, it's like if Justin was like 260.
No, you and I are like, we're supposed to be like 190.
Yeah, dude.
So we're supposed to.
Calm down. I'm not going down that far.
I think you're supposed to be.
Feel great.
You're supposed to be like 190. I'm supposed to be like 200. 200 flat. That's where we're supposed to be. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not going that far. No way, dude. 190.
Yeah.
No
I was gonna
way.
get back to like
should
big
jump.
traps
Hey, you know
and no
what?
neck.
I'm really excited about what we're starting today. Today we start. Actually, this will when this goes live, it'll have already started. But you know, we had a really good time helping the GLP-1 group out. It was
Right.
you know, we all are trainers by heart, and even though we get a taste of that being on the podcast and sharing our experiences and wisdom with people, it's still not the same as like coaching people one-on-one. And so I really enjoyed the GLP-1 group that we got to be a part of, especially considering that I thought it would be challenging, right? I think we all like a challenge. We've trained almost every kind of person you could think of. And
there's a part of me too that misses training people.
Yeah. So that was cool. And we weren't sure. What we were more concerned about was, you know, would we really be able to help in a group, and would people really feel like they got a lot of value from it? And it was an incredible response. We had an incredible response from it. Everybody loved it. So we're going to try something new this time, which is not a specific group like GLP-1, but like more general, which is MAPS Transformation is now live, which is inspired by the journey that I took to get back.
Yep.
And thought, what a great group training to do with everybody is this transformation process if you've fallen off and you're getting back in the swing of things, to take these people through. So Kyle and the training team is going to be taking a group of 50 through. So we limited it. So for people that are listening, wondering if they hadn't heard about it or whatever, it's like
it's already go up.
Yeah, we already went with it. And if we might do it again, if we do, it sells out fast. This one sold out quick. And so excited for that. The boys and I will drop in. We're going to launch it today. We'll be in there, and then we'll be in and out of it with them. Really wanting to see our training staff and this training team that we have now take these people through it. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, and the program Transform is just it's flying. It's more of a popular program, right? GLP-1 is very specific.
Yeah,
this is a program I think a lot of people identify with, and a lot of people are. It's cool. I can't wait to see some of the before and afters that people get through that 90-day process.
I think there's just been a lot of that, like, oh man, I really should get back to it, and you know, that sort of him and Han, and it's one of those that kind of presents an opportunity, and then that group is great because it's like, you know, you're gonna have all this momentum, you want the accountability with it as well. It's really helpful, but also too the psychological help to like not overdo it.
Well, it was a bit of an aha moment for myself, talking again about the accountability of putting it out there on the internet. When I did the transformation coming back, you know, we've openly talked on the show many times about how we tend to overreach. I don't care how long we've been doing this, how much knowledge we have. If we have a tendency to do anything, it's to overreach, especially when you've taken somewhat of a break. If you've fallen off for a little bit.
It's just human nature.
It is human nature. And I don't care how experienced you are or not, we even have a bad habit of doing that. And so when I was being documented through this whole process, I had this like pressure of like, okay, I got to not do what my tendency is. I need to do what I teach and what I tell people so the world can see. And then of course had incredible results. Like, you know what? It makes sense for us to create something like this, because I can't be the only person who falls off for a month or two and then comes back on. And then when they come back, they tend to hop right into way more than they need to. And so it's the perfect segue to get somebody back into shape. And so I'm excited too to see how many people use it
and
that
follow
way.
it.
And follow it.
Yeah,
follow it the way
overdo
it's
it.
laid out. Don't overdo it. Trust the process. If you've taken more than a couple weeks off and you're back in the swing of things, following that program, and watch what happens.
Watch your timeline shrink in terms of getting those results. That's the thing that trips people out.
Totally.
Yeah.
So,
I got to ask you guys a question. So as grown man, how many times in your life have you been approached by another man and told you have really nice skin? Is that something that ever happens to you?
Zero.
Bro,
That's a Sal unique.
This is weird. It happened to me twice recently.
Wow.
2 times. I had one of my
Did he try and
friends.
touch you at the same time?
No.
Or was it-
So one of them was a friend of mine, which is it's cool, still kind of weird, but whatever. He's like, you got really good skin, especially for your age or whatever. So I'm like, oh, thank you very much. And then I had someone randomly tell me that I had good skin.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is weird. Men don't usually say that.
Shout out to Caldera for bringing it, huh?
Caldera Lab does it. I mean, it's got to be that, right?
Shiny and
it's got to be that.
I mean,
it gives me that sheen. I don't know.
sheen.
I have from family because family that sees me and that's I tell them all the time that is.
They say your skin looks
nice.
nice.
I've had that. I've been super consistent with it too though.
Are you doing the cream and the oil?
Always. Cream,
base
oil,
layer?
serum. Yeah, I do the base layer with the serum, and then I use their soap. Their soap. We don't talk a lot about their soap. I know I went off on it when we first got it.
You like the suds?
It's a lather. I don't know, like so.
You love soap.
Well, okay. So there's a lot of like organic,
Big
natural brands of soap out there that you can get. And one of the reasons why I always go away and go back to my chemical based soap all over myself is because there's something about the lather. I just need
That's a fact. They know this.
It's just like
it's like the same with toothpaste.
It is like toothpaste. It's just like that. So if you gave me toothpaste that didn't set up, I just
We're
don't.
too conditioned.
We are. I'm like whatever. I could be.
Well, Caldera Lab though did it without chemicals.
That's why it's so. That's why I'm so impressed. And not only that, it's better than any chemical based soap I've ever had that lather. So it doesn't just lather good for natural soap. It lathers good compared to anything else on the market. So they sold me right away with that.
Hey, I'm gonna change subject. Did you guys see? Maybe you did, Justin. You're into this.
Okay.
Did you see what happened when an AI called another AI?
Yes.
Oh God.
I did see that video. Yeah, so they were calling each other to make like hotel reservations.
Yeah, so they didn't know they were AI. So one called to book a restaurant. The other AI is helping them book a restaurant.
Yeah. And so then they figured out is like, oh, by the way, I'm an AI assistant. And then the other one was like, oh, why don't we make this conversation more efficient? And then they started talking in some weird like digital languages like blah, 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 blah.
They started talking and then realized they were talking to AI. And then they switched to like some secret language to book.
Dude. Did you guys see what did you see what Danny said over this morning?
No.
You didn't see
I did.
Oh, with the doctor.
The influencer?
Yes.
Bro. It was a doctor, 800,000 followers.
Bro.
I'm a doctor, and here's what makes your butt look good. I'm a doctor. It was AI.
Not even real.
Not a real person,
and I was
nothing.
like, oh my God, I've seen this. And before that, it was like she was pitching that she used to be a Victoria's Secret model. And here's all my secret hacks. And like, here's all the, you name off all of these like herbal, and like food that she ate only.
Moringa.
All these things like exotic things that she did in her diet and all this stuff. And really just to sell supplements.
All linked to Amazon.
All linked.
I mean, imagine if you're,
what an easy way to make money.
Amazon has to be making those. I mean, right? It would,
it's got to be the company selling the products.
No, not necessarily.
Or somebody who has an account, maybe?
No. Or I mean, what stops a normal
independent person selling?
Yeah, an independent person to make an AI bot that gives you a 10 or 15% kickback on all these Amazon products.
I think the age of influencers is limited and is going to die soon because companies very soon are going to realize with AIs advancing that they can create an AI influencer. And here's the kicker. People don't need to be tricked. People are going to know it's AI. It's still going to work.
Yeah.
And they're going to have an AI influencer that's going to get all these followers.
Same thing as OnlyFans.
So, okay. So this is a good
naked robots
conversation or debate here because I don't think it's going to kill the age of the influencer. I think it's only going to embolden it. And what I mean by that, and it's kind of funny that we did this, right? We did put on our podcast
real human.
Real humans.
We're organic.
Humans.
Yeah,
I did that on purpose, by the way.
Yeah.
To decipher
carbon-based
we're not perfect.
Influencers.
We're real.
Because I would think that what will happen is people that are real, and you know they're real, you've seen them in a live event, you've met them before, you know what they're like, that you will lean more into taking advice and information from that source because it's trusted than just someone hot on Instagram. Like I just think
I disagree. I'll tell you
really?
what. Here's what I think. It's like buy local. There are people that are like, I got to buy local. I look for the sticker. Most people don't give a shit. Most people look at or organic
maybe
and grown.
Wait,
fair
give
trade.
me how you make that connection. Why is it like buy local?
There are.
I know what you're talking about. Buy local.
There are people who are interested in where it's coming from and who's making it and whatever, and that's a market. But the bigger market by far are people who don't care. They could care less. So you're going to have people who are like, no, I only want to listen to real people. And there's going to be that market still going to exist.
Okay,
the vast majority of people they're not going to care.
Okay, so you're talking about two different customers. You're talking about a customer that is already looking for something specific, and will they buy from Mind Pump versus buy from the AI influencer? Well, they don't care because they're already searching for a product. Influence, and what the word influencer comes from, is the ability to influence people to buy something. That means that person is following that said person, who that person then influences them to purchase something like that. That customer.
You don't think an AI is going to become an influencer?
No, I don't. I mean, I think right now they are. They're 800 something followers. Yeah. I think as more people become privy to it, they'll be less likely to just follow somebody on Instagram, and they're going to want some sort of proof that this is a real human and have some sort of connection and engagement before they do it. But we're in this time right now where I think, yes, those AI bots are going to get away with it.
Look at the real people already been failing. Like the Belle Gibson story,
Who's
like
that?
Another cancer faker.
Oh yeah,
that
Who's
got
that?
exposed.
You didn't see that?
She's from
there's a whole documentary on Netflix.
Australia.
Oh, you told me about it.
Yeah.
She pretended to have
brain cancer.
Yeah,
brain cancer.
And had like a
cancer
beautiful Instagram with like everything, like tracking her food, and like I'm just treating myself with whole natural foods and blah blah blah.
What
and
a
like,
scumbag!
Yeah, dude. And
bro,
like,
she made it on to 60 Minutes. Everything. She blew. She was like a phenomenon.
So I don't know, man. I mean, it's interesting because like. You look at somebody like that's just like completely an evil person that's taking money at everybody else's expense, and versus like an AI. What's the difference at that point?
Well, there's definitely not a difference. They're just as bad. Actually,
just
the person's worse.
Worse.
AI is just doing what they've been programmed to do. That person is flat out lying.
I think AI is going to be so good that people are going to follow AI and they're going to like it. And they're going to say, I like this AI influencer, and they give me great advice. And
see,
really
I think it's going to look like this. And I mean,
there's already people falling in love with their...
I think we're an example of this. What are one of the things that you noticed about like our most loyal listeners? It will tell us that they actually use almost all the products we talk about. Yeah. And that's because they have a relationship with us. We're trusted, we're authentic, they feel like they built this. And then so it's like, so if the guys recommend this thing, now they get that thing because of the trusted source. So I think that what you'll see in the future is more and more personal brands able to connect themselves to so many products that maybe not even align with what they do. So, for example, not that I think we're going to go this direction, but we could have, bath towels and do things that have nothing to do with health and fitness because they at least trust who we are recommending that product or said thing. And so it becomes more about that than, I think that's the best towel in the market because Mind Pump says
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me put it this way then, maybe the influencers who gain influence because that they of the way they look and they're not really presenting tons of value, they're probably going to be gone.
Oh, yeah.
I
think they were but don't you think they're on their way? I mean, there was a reason why we trademarked Stay Authentic.
Yeah.
We believe that early on when we first moved into space that, this is just a free-for-all for people, and there's so many people being fake.
Yeah, you're finding out how small of a amount of people out there that you really think are authentic. It's like it's pretty crazy, and it really is. The whole world, as we know it, media, everything, has just been this complete facade.
We're about to see how weird it gets, and we're going to see it pretty soon. Who was it that sent the video in our group thread of the guy that fell in love with his car?
I did. Or was it me who said it? I think I said it. Yeah,
bro. That's literally that's an extreme example of what's going to happen when people are.
Homeboy just loves those exhaust pipes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Isn't that fun? You think that's a joke? That's like real. Like people, there's like a whole group of people that are like that.
I know. But there are people right now falling in love with their AI boyfriends and girlfriends.
That's more real. That's more realistic to me when you start to.
Of course.
Especially when they're programmed to make you feel good and tell you all these sweet things.
I was just talking this. I was talking this weekend to a friend of mine about this data came out that shows that I think I brought this up already. That the decline in Christianity that's happened over the last many decades has finally halted. Looks like it's reversing. And one of the segments of the population that seems to be really returning to it is Gen Z young men in particular. And if you go deeper and dig deeper, you know where a lot of them are going? The more structured Orthodox versions of Christianity, Orthodox Christianity, Catholicism. So we had this great conversation, and my speculation is these young men in Gen Z grew up with internet, pornography, everything in their face all the time. that they're like, I need some structure.
That's it.
I need some parameters and some structure.
They didn't have boundaries. They didn't grow up with, real rigid, strict parents.
Male leadership.
Yeah.
They're missing male leadership.
Yep.
You know,
So
what's
they're
more proof of that, Sal, is how many grifters are out there making men camps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a clear indication of the need there, right? That's why they can get away with making all this money running man camps, for all these beta dudes, because these guys are seeking strong men leaders, and it makes sense that they would go back and probably look towards one of the most famous strong male leaders in the world ever, and so that would highlight that to me. That's why you would see that.
Attachment Adam, it makes this case all the time that male depression should be treated differently than female depression, because male depression oftentimes is just a lack of purpose. Mm-hmm. So you could take a guy who's super depressed and you give him a sense of purpose, and then he's going to do it. And by the way, if you're a young woman listening right now, this doesn't make sense to you, but if you're a young man right now, you probably got a little excited hearing that. Like, you give a guy a purpose and he'll drag himself across glass to get to that purpose. And I think the reason why a lot of these young men are moving towards religion, but in particular the more structured Orthodox versions, is because it's very disciplined, structured, and it makes them feel like, yes, this is what I need, because I'm living in a world where I have everything I want. Mm-hmm. Pornography, I can just tap on my phone and there it is, and I can eat whatever, and I'm being told being a guy is stupid, and I don't have anything to. There was that famous speech on Fight Club where Tyler Durden is like, we don't have a war to fight, we don't have a whatever. A lot of young men love that clip because I think a lot of young men
it resonates with them for sure.
Yeah. What'll be interesting, to your point, is how quickly it turns because of technology, right? Historically, we have this ebb and flow in society of trendy things or stuff, but it tends to take decades, sometimes even a century for things to come and go through our society. But with the ability for information to travel so fast and social media, it seems that all the trends and the things move much faster. It's like something's hot really quick, and then it's out, and then it's on the next thing. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting when you point out this movement that you see in this direction, like how quickly will it shift the other direction? It seems like it'll be a lot faster than in the past. I'll speculate. I don't know, right? But I'll speculate as someone who's a new Christian. I think if it's only about the discipline and structure, then it'll flip, because what it'll turn into is self-righteousness, and I'm better than you, or shame. But if it turns into a real relationship with Christ, then I think it's going to stick. But if it's bringing people in, that's good, because then they have that opportunity. Well, and I do think a lot of young men they are drawn because they're lost. They're anxious, depressed. I'm playing video games. I got, watching porn. I'm eating garbage. I don't have any whatever. Like, I need someone and something to give me a purpose. And that is appealing. It's very appealing to a lot of young men. Yeah. Digestive enzymes help you break down all that amazing protein that you're eating into digestible, usable amino acids. Masszymes is the best when it comes to digestive enzymes for people who want to shape and sculpt their body. It helps with digestive issues, and it helps you utilize the food you eat to fuel your gains. Go check them out. Go to bioptimizers.com. That's bioptimizers.com/mind pump. Use the code mindpump10 and get 10% off. All right, back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by trainerwebinar.com. If you're a trainer or coach, or you want to become a trainer or coach, go to trainerwebinar.com. It's free. Adam and I teach you how to build your business.
Our first caller is Sarah from Connecticut.
Hi, Sarah.
How you doing, Sarah?
How can I help you?
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. My question is about the impact of weightlifting on blood tests intended to check for liver function. Last year, my routine blood work showed elevated liver enzymes, and in a follow-up a few months later, they were even higher. My physician ordered an abdominal ultrasound, which was normal, and decided to do one more round of blood testing. She said if it remained elevated, she was going to refer me to a liver specialist. I did a little research myself, and found paper. They didn't find a lot, but I found some papers that suggested that muscles, when they're damaged, release the same enzymes that are used to screen for liver damage. There was at least one article that suggested that subjects being tested for clinical trials should stop weight training for a week before blood tests, so that the presence of these enzymes don't unnecessarily disqualify them from clinical trials. So I asked my doctor if I should rest before the third round of testing. She said, just keep doing what you normally do. But I'll be honest, what I was normally doing at the time was probably overtraining. So I thought, and definitely on the second time that I did blood tests, I had lifted heavy that very morning, then I had the blood test in the afternoon. And really I think it was the ALT that spiked. It went from like 30 to 70. So I just decided on my own to rest for just a few days. I didn't take a whole week off, but I rested a few days before my last round of tests.
Smart.
And sure enough, they dropped back to normal or close to normal. One was just a teeny bit high, but it was just 3 days that I rested. So, since I sent my question in, I found an article that was a little bit more, it was an NIH article. It was more of a health industry article. The others had tended to be like fitness medicine people. But that suggested that, intensive muscular exercise, here's a quote here, intensive muscular exercise should be considered as a cause of asymptomatic elevations in liver function tests in daily clinical practice. So my question is mostly, back when I sent the question, I wondered if you had experience of this. I had just done the research myself. My doctor had said, that's interesting, but let's just do the blood test and you can see a liver specialist if it's so high. But even just that little rest seemed to drop it right back down. So I wonder if you had experience with this issue coming up, or if a different physician might have asked the question, or if it really is something that they tend to not take into account when they're interpreting liver tests.
We just talked about this, right?
Yeah.
We just had, I don't know if it was another live caller or we had conversation on this. I remember the first time this happened to me. And it's interesting that more physicians aren't aware of this, or they don't tell people that, because I was told the same thing. Later on found out, oh no, if you work out in the same day, it absolutely will affect the test. And so I think this is just a disconnect with our physicians and understanding how a workout can impact these tests.
Really, Sarah, I tend to recommend when I would work with clients or even callers, find a doctor that strength trains, because otherwise they're not really, as you experienced, trained in this. Now, if you went to a liver specialist, they would know this.
That's what I figured, but it seems like, why have an unnecessary appointment? It was so easy to just...
You're right. Yeah.
This paper was from 2007, and it said it has long been known.
This is well understood. It's well understood. So what they're measuring, when you look at AST, ALT, CK, BUN even, what you're looking at is these are signs of tissue damage. So what they could show is liver damage. They could show heart damage. They could any kind of tissue damage can elevate this, including the damage caused by exercise or strength training. Now, the other part that you want to pay attention to is if you're getting these really high spikes, which the numbers you sent, the second one was a little high. I think it was your AST. That I think that's pretty out of range. I think your 33 is
in the 30s. I think.
Yeah. So that might indicate that you're just going too hard. Okay. That
I think that was.
Yeah. So when I would have clients that would get like really out there numbers, then okay, we might be training a little too hard, or maybe that run you did on your own was a little too difficult. But other than that, no, you're totally fine. So next time you get one of these tests, let your doctor know, hey, by the way, I do pretty strenuous exercise. So they can know ahead of time when they look at, your test. And part of the reason why most general practitioners are not really well versed in this, well, number one, they don't tend to exercise themselves. They tend to fall in the same category, same general activity, levels as the general population. But also because the vast majority of people they work with, if they see levels of liver enzymes elevated in CK, that's not because they worked out. It's because there's something underlying. And so they're trained to look for those other things and not consider that the person might have worked out. But the fact that you stopped the working out for a few days and numbers went back down to normal, you solved it. You solved the problem yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Sarah, what are you following any of our programs?
I'm not following any of your programs. No, I work with a trainer, but I just started listening to you guys a few months ago. So
Okay,
I'm
good.
not trying any of
Nice.
your programs.
Okay, good.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah, well, working with the
Thank
trainer is
you.
good. You should be they should be training you appropriately.
You know what
now.
we know what I'll do, Sarah. I'd love to do for you is let Doug put you in our free. We'll put you in our forum for free, so that you have access.
Great.
Now you have that way. You wouldn't have to wait for this. You could just post in there and tag one of us, and then we could have this conversation with you inside the forum.
Totally.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
You got it.
All right, Sarah.
Thank you. Yeah, this to me can be very frustrating.
We just
because-
talked about this.
We did.
We did, yeah,
And it's
recently.
frustrating because the average person will become alarmed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's very.
I was alarmed.
alarmist.
I was alarmed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm healthy. What is this?
Yeah. I was alarmed the first time.
And you got to, people need to understand. Like,
And I actually told my doctor that and they still didn't.
no.
They didn't even make
Didn't
connect-
register,
Yeah,
yeah.
didn't register at all.
And I'm not trying to speak ill of doctors. Doctors are people and they work with a lot of people. And most people
Yeah.
don't exercise
The
consistently.
high majority. Yeah.
So they're not. Why would they know this?
not
unless
only
they were
that, Sal, but
specifically trained?
they also have to lean on the extra cautious
Yeah,
side.
of course.
And you would never tell somebody with their blood work coming back like that, oh, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Just because they look fit or they exercise. They're always going to lean on because they'd be in way more trouble telling someone to go get more
That's right.
further
Wanna
tests
run more tests.
than they would be to
This
tell
is how
someone they're
bad.
okay.
This is how bad it is. If you get insurance, life insurance, and you do this test, they don't care typically if you work out. You just stop working out for a week because if they see slight elevations, you can tell them all day long you lift weights.
Yeah.
It'll make your
That's a red
premiums go
flag.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to have to stop. BMI is another one that people tend to get into
Yeah.
trouble with. Like
I got hit on that.
everyone in this room, all of our BMIs would put us in the overweight or obese category.
Super obese.
Because
Over
of the amount, because we weigh a lot, because we have a lot more muscle mass, which doesn't put us in the overweight category of health issues. So, yeah, it can be a bit challenging. So if you're fit and healthy, you got to know this stuff and prepare yourself.
Our next caller is Taja from Canada.
Taja, what's happening?
Doing, Teja?
Good morning.
Hi.
How are you?
I just want to start off by saying thank you for having me on the show. It kind of feels unreal. I will begin by reading my question, just to make it easy for everybody. So I'm 5'2" and I'm currently 130 pounds. When I started my fitness journey, I was 150. And growing up, I was always active and playing numerous sports. So losing weight initially came easy for me. I dropped 20 pounds within the first 3 months, but hit a hard plateau. And around that time, I started listening to your podcast, which motivated me to check out your website and purchase a MAPS program. Not knowing where to start, I used the live chat and spoke with Margaret, which she is awesome, by the way. She suggested that I reverse diet and recommended the RGB program. I purchased it. And since then, I've also purchased Muscle Mummy program, which I'm running now. But when I wrote the question, I was running it, and now I'm finished it. And I've also purchased MAPS 15. Initially, I was too nervous to reverse diet, but after listening to you guys and learning more about its benefits, I finally increased my calories from 1,800 to 2,500. I am now at 2,800 since writing in.
All right.
Yeah, and however, I've noticed some digestive issues since bumping my calories. So my first question is, what foods would you recommend eating during a bulk to avoid digestive discomfort? And then my second question is actually about lifting heavy, because I do like to challenge myself and lift heavy. But I've noticed that my grip strength isn't very strong. And when I lift heavy, my hands start to hurt and cramp. So do you have any advice for improving grip strength?
Yeah, good job,
right,
by the
yeah.
way. So,
Awesome.
so let me just, going from 18 to 2,800, lifting heavy, you probably saw some serious strength gains.
Oh yeah, I feel great. My sleep is better, and I can't believe it took me this long to reverse diet, but I'm so glad I did.
That's awesome. So what lifts or exercises are you noticing? Is it deadlifts that you notice the big issue with your hands, or just when you hold on to heavy weights?
Yeah, deadlifts specifically. I feel like even like incline bench press or like bench press too, sometimes I'll notice that like discomfort in my hands.
Okay.
Even curls sometimes, like if it's dumbbell curls, I noticed, and even skull crushers too. Sometimes I'll
Yeah.
notice that pressure on my hands.
Okay. How much are you lifting in your deadlift? You said you're 5'2", 130 something. What are you pulling off the ground?
So I want to say close to so the barbell itself is around 40 pounds, right?
45.
Yeah.
45, and then I want to say 50 on each side, so that's like 145.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Sometimes I could lift heavier, but I feel like I'm not able to because of my grip strength.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I do have some issues in my back. So right now I'm actually not lifting right now because I hurt my back. So I'm trying to have that heal first.
So I'll give you a couple pieces of advice. First off, this is normal because you're tiny. You're small and you're lifting a lot of weight. And your strength went up very quickly. So you have this rapid ramp up of strength. You're small, petite. You probably have small hands. You're going to notice some issues with that. And then you mentioned back issues. So what I would recommend someone like you who saw these, and you're an ex-athlete, so reverse diet, strength training, ex-athlete, your strength probably shot up very quickly. So what I would have you do is stay with lighter weight and slow the tempo down and just perfect your form for a little while. Because the strength gains came on so fast and furious that what you may notice now are some issues with technique and form. And it may be just a small deviation, but because the strength gains came so quickly, the small deviations can start to cause issues. Okay, so I would have you practice your lifts when you feel really strong. Rather than adding weight to the bar, slow the reps down. So if you're pressing 100 pounds and you're like, oh my God, I think I can go 115. Don't go to 115. Stay at 100, and then make the 100 feel like 115 with slower reps. And I'd want you to do that for at least a month with all of your lifts to allow your body to acclimate to some of those gains. You were going to say something?
Yeah, and I've heard you guys say this before on your podcast, and this is what I plan on doing after I heal from this back injury. But it's just so hard for me because I like to push myself, and I'm like, I grew up with all brothers, and like I consider myself strong, so it's definitely difficult to lift light. But I'm going to definitely try that once I start lifting again after this recovery.
You don't actually necessarily have to go light per se, as much as you just don't need to keep pushing the weight.
Exactly.
I mean, so when I have a client like you who's doing this good and you've gotten this strong already, the fact that your hands are the limiting factor is okay. I mean, that's normal. And you probably have really strong legs, hips, and back, and so that weight came up really quick. Now the limiting factor is your hands. They'll come up too. Just if you continue just to do those lifts and not try and push the weight, and allow them to be the limiting factor. The strength from deadlifting consistently, especially if you start to slow the tempo down, like Sal is saying, your grip strength will come up, and then allow that to be what guides you. Okay, I've now got to a place, and there's things you could do, like when you're deadlifting, let's say you can stay the same weight, but now at the top of the rep, hold on to the weight at the top for a few seconds, go back down, hold the weight at the top for a few more seconds. So just, you could even do it like that, where you're not necessarily going lighter, but go to the weight that you can handle and just try to hold on to the bar a little bit longer, and your grip strength will start to come up with that.
And following this process, your strength gains will be better. So, you're excited about gaining more strength. Do the way we're saying. This is going to give you the strength gains you're looking for. If you keep pushing the weight, then your limiting factor is going to be injury and pain, which you don't want that to be the limiting factor. So this is a really good problem to have. It's a really good problem to have. And the other thing I'll say is, at the end of your workout, you could always add one set of an isometric hold. And so what you would do is you would get 2 heavy dumbbells, and you would just hold them at your side. You don't have to move. You could just sit there and do like a 30 to 45 second hold. You don't want to go to failure till you drop the weight, but go till you get, you can feel it. Put the dumbbells up. You just add one set, and that typically speeds up the hand strengthening process.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, and even doing like farmer carry, but also too, if you're not doing any wrist cars or any kind of like mobility pre-workout, like just to get the strength and dexterity with your fingers and your wrists, and really kind of like sharpen that, and it's going to help with the technique as well when you go to grip the bar. It makes a world of difference. A lot of times the restriction is just you don't have that mobility right away.
I love adding wrist cars into your priming before you start every workout. That's going to help. I love what Sal's saying with adding that. And then I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to have Doug send you map symmetry. I think you would benefit from a round of that. Going back to, like, you've gone through RGB, you've got our muscle mommy, you've progressed really, really well. Now I'd take you to something like map symmetry for a cycle, And then when you come back to, say, Muscle Mommy or Anabolic or one of those programs again, you should see improvement in strength from that also.
Yeah. Now, one last thing. You could also try using chalk. If your gym doesn't allow chalk, use liquid chalk. It's really cheap. You can buy it on Amazon or anywhere.
Oh, that'll make a big difference.
And that usually helps a lot. I use chalk with every workout.
Have you tried
Are you doing
using
switch grip?
Have you tried using chalk yet?
No, but I wear gloves that have grip.
Yeah, but chalk will make
way better.
Yeah, chalk.
Okay.
Chalk.
Chalk.
You'll be able to add 10 to 20 pounds more just by chalking up or liquid chalk.
So gloves actually increase the circumference of the bar through the fabric and actually make it harder to grip.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so it's like you're making the bar a little thicker, which makes it harder. So chalk up your hands, use your bare hands, and you'll probably have a better grip. And then let's talk about diet here. 2,800 calories for someone your size is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, we didn't get into digestive
The first place I would look are common food intolerances, which tend to be gluten, dairy, eggs, legumes. But let me ask you this: have you identified any foods that tend to bother you digestively?
So this is the issue, right? So I listen to your show religiously. So I eat ground beef, white rice, whole eggs, Greek yogurt. And it's not necessarily what I eat. I think it's because I'm eating so much, if that makes sense. And then also I eat a lot of protein. So I eat almost 160 grams of protein in whole foods. Like I don't have any shakes, and it sounds insane, but I love protein. So I'm wondering if it has to do with something along those lines, but I don't know.
Go on a mini cut. Go on a mini cut. Run a little cut now. I mean, this is what I love. If I'm training a client like you, you're at a place I love for you to get. You're now at a place where you're like, Adam, this is so much food I'm eating all day. And I'm like, great, let's cut a meal out. Let's cut a meal out in the day somewhere, and then let's see what happens. And I'll run a little mini cut for 2 or 3 weeks with you and see if you notice an improvement in digestion, notice if you lean out, notice if you're able to maintain the strength, you feel better just about the amount of food you're eating. So you're now in such a great place eating 2,800 calories. We could easily drop down to 24, or 23 even, and probably
give your digestion a break.
Yeah, give it a little bit of a break, lean out a bit, and then hopefully also still be able to maintain strength. So that would be what I would recommend and see what happens from that.
Another thing you can look at is typically when protein goes up, fiber requirements go up as well. So you could look at psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is a very easy fiber. You could take a few capsules with each meal to help with the digestive process as well and see how that works. But I like what Adam said. I think a mini cut is, at 2,800 calories at your size.
Yeah, that's a lot of food.
You're crushing.
Yeah.
You drop down to 24, you're probably not going to lose strength. You'll probably just see yourself get leaner.
And then that brings me, like, if it's okay, can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I've been bulking since November of last year, so it's been a slow bulk. So I didn't start off with 28. Obviously, I worked my way up, and now I want to cut for the summer. So how would I do that? Would I initially just, like Adam just said, just go down to 2,400 and just maintain it through summer, or like I don't know how to navigate through the next steps?
Yeah, no, good question. I would go down to 24. I would stay there for 3 or 4 weeks. I would go up to 25 for a week, then I'd go down to 23, and I would do that step ladder approach until you're pretty happy. I would not bring your calories below where you started at 1,800 though. So once you get down to 1,800, then regardless of what body fat percentage you're at or whatever, which I think you'll be pretty happy with, then I would reverse you.
And then once you get to a place where your digestion is good, you feel like you're eating a sustainable amount of food, your energy and strength, like you feel like, man, this is a great place, then don't actually overthink it and just kind of let the calories naturally undulate. So let's say some days you're a little bit hungry, and so you ended up eating 2,800 calories. Other days you weren't as hungry, you only ate 2,200 calories. Then some days it was kind of in the middle. So allow yourself to have that much flexibility. When you're at a very healthy place metabolically like you are now, you can have a lot of play in like a low day for you is 2,000 calories, which is higher than where you started, which is incredible. So you can have days that you eat as low as 2,000 calories and then have other days that are as high as 2,800, and allow your body to just organically tell you when to have higher days and lower days based off of how you feel. And then that should keep you in a very good place aesthetically, strength-wise, energy-wise, and that's kind of where you want to hover, unless we're trying to make moves. And then you come to me and you say, Adam, I really want to push strength and let's build some more muscle. Okay, well then maybe go on a mini bulk for a while. Or you go, man, it's almost summertime, Adam, I want to look shredded. I want to see my abs. And so maybe we cut for a while. But if you're at a place where you're very happy with your physique and strength and kind of where you're at, allow the body to just kind of naturally lead you into undulating those calories every day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you guys. I feel like I know it, but I just need to hear it.
Yeah. You're doing great.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thanks.
And we'll send you symmetry, okay?
All right. Well, have a good day, and thanks for having me on again.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
You know, I'd like to just point out, I'm going to always do this whenever this happens because it annoys the hell out of me. I'm going to point out.
I know that.
Here's another example.
All right, look, according to the internet dorks out there, let me pull up my phone here real quick.
Can the editing team please, I know we've talked about this.
Can we send these as gifts?
No, we wanted to start posting these on Instagram and sharing this with our community. We need to do this more often. That way that all the Instagram people you're about to talk about see this shit. And then we'll battle in line.
I would like for the internet dorks and, adding a pound of muscle only burns an extra 5 to 8 calories. She's eating 1,000 more calories a day. 1,000 more calories a day. According to their math, she would have gained, what is that? She would have gained how many pounds of muscle? 20 pounds of muscle. So I don't think she gained 20 pounds of muscle.
No.
Her metabolism went through the roof, and she probably gained something like 5 to 7 pounds of muscle. How do you figure that math out, internet dorks?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you don't know what it is. You don't understand human metabolism. Nobody fully understands it, but reverse dieting, when applied properly, it freaking works. And this is more example. 2 days left for the brand new MAPS program. MAPS Transform. Change your body in 90 days from before to after. That's what this program is all about. MAPS Transform. Because it's a brand new program, it's $70 off, and we're including Adam's 90-day body recomp journal and the MAPS Transformation diet guide, both included for free. If you're interested, go to mapstransform.com. Use the code TRANSFORM70 for the discount and the 2 free editions. All right, here comes the show.
Our next caller is Heath from Kansas.
What's up, Heath?
How you doing, Heath?
What's happening?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. How can we help you?
Well, so my question is on hypermobility. In December, I ran into a girl I used to train. I worked as a trainer at a big box gym about 12, 13 years ago. I ran into her a couple months ago, and we got to talking. She, back in her 20s, she didn't have as much of an issue, but the last decade, she's really been having the hypermobility issues in addition to an autoimmune disease, which I was almost wondering if there was any correlation there. But overall, the typical stuff with a hypermobile person, issues with their knees or shoulders or hips. She's seen some other fitness professionals, and she's had some run-ins with different physical therapists, but she just hasn't gotten many answers from them on losing weight, on gaining muscle. So I really wanted your guys' input on if you've had any clients that, with similar issues, any advice you'd offer, any suggestions on someone like that not train as heavy, and just go from there.
Yeah. What's the autoimmune condition?
She talked more like she's had a lot of intestinal distress over the years. She's really had to try to fine tune what she's eaten. And I don't know a whole lot of details because we talked more about her issues with not being able to gain strength. But I think it's been more focused around, having IBS and other issues with pain throughout the body and all that.
There could be a connection if there's an issue with her connective tissues, which would affect both. Yeah. So I would try and get deeper with that. But nonetheless, I have a lot of experience with hypermobility. Your friend as a trainer, your number one tool for any hypermobility is isometrics.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Isometrics is your most effective method for strengthening or opposing or countering the hypermobility that she deals with. So if you train her for an hour, you're literally doing 25 to 30 minutes of isometrics and then 20 minutes of traditional strength training. Mm-hmm. The strength training is slow, controlled, and it's within a controlled range of motion. Do not have her train in her full range of motion, but actually have her stop her reps within what you would consider a decent range of motion. In other words, you have someone with hypermobility, they could probably sit all the way down on a squat. Yeah. With a normal person, that's fine. Not with her. With her, I would have her stop her squat just below parallel. I would have her stop her shoulder press where her dumbbells aren't all the way down to her shoulders, but just above it type of deal. But the beginning of your workouts and on her own, I would have her do lots of isometrics. It says here in your question that there's a lot of hypermobility in her metatarsals of her feet. So things like short foot, lifting big toe, pressing big toe down, like isometrics are going to be, and I would give her 2 or 3 movements to do 2 or 3 times a day for like a minute or two. And then when you see her, you're literally doing isometrics for the whole body. All right, isometrics for glutes, isometrics for hams, isometrics for quads. And you're moving through, and remember with isometrics, you have a range of motion that you can do them. It's not just in fully, shortened. And you could do against, an immovable object. You could do the kind that are yielding.
That would actually be, the best in terms of her being able to push against the rack or pull against the rack and you find that range where, there's usually a deficit there, like she loses a bit of tension. I mean, the thing here is, and there's things like the Dumphy squat. I don't know if you've ever seen us do that in our videos, but there's ways and techniques to try to apply, use tools to create more tension in these exercises. And really that's the focus. If she is moving, like it's very slow, it's very controlled, but the whole action is squeeze. And I'd be emphasizing that like continuously, with every single exercise. So everything Sal said though is like, we want to break it individually, like and compartmentalize each part of the movement and have her kind of stay there and like really tense her muscles.
Heath, you're a trainer. How long have you been listening to the show for?
5 years.
Do you have Prime and Prime Pro?
No, I do not.
Okay, bro. I'm gonna send you Prime Pro, but you've been listening to us for that long. You've probably heard me rail every trainer that does not have those 2 programs. Okay, you should have those.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Okay? I'm gonna send you Prime Pro.
Appreciate it.
So much in there that you could literally build the first 20 to 30 minutes the guys are talking about. You can pull from there. You can literally pull all the movements from there, and that becomes her first 20 to 30 minutes. Then you take the exercises that they're talking about to be her back 20 to 30 minutes. But that program alone will help you train her going forward for all the stuff that you do before. And the cues that you hear us cueing in there with Dr. Brink, that's how you want to cue her when you're doing those things. And like Sal said, every exercise and movement you do with her, I'm gonna you could do all the normal exercises for your back 23 minutes. I'm just going to shorten the range up. Opposite of what we tell most people, right? I'm going to shorten the range up on her. Still want a good full range of motion, but not her full range of motion. And at the end of the movement, I'm creating an isometric contraction. So in that squat, she's going to come down, like he said, a little bit, and then she pause. I'd pause and hold her there for a good 5 seconds, then she comes out of squat. If you're doing the shoulder press, like he said, she's coming down, instead of the dumbbells all the way down to her shoulders, it stops at her ears, and she holds. Isometric contraction there, and then goes back. So you can do a lot of the traditional movements that we train any client on, shorten the range up, create an isometric contraction at the end of that, where you want her to end, and then the priming the first 20 to 30 minutes from Prime Pro.
You're not training her muscles as much as you're training her CNS, Heath.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah, the reason why she has trouble developing her muscles is because her CNS isn't firing. Her neural drive is off. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're training. So every time you train her, don't think muscles. Think neural drive. Yeah. Another tip is if she, I don't know, does she have coffee or caffeine every day?
I wouldn't say daily, but she does use caffeine.
If she does, I'd have a pre-workout just to give you a little boost in that neural drive. So I'd say, hey, save your coffee for before your workout, 30 minutes. That'll help with the neural drive. And then honestly, you can make the whole workout isometrics. You just think of an exercise, think like a leg press, right? You bring the platform down, you press it up. This is how you would do it isometrically. You bring it down halfway and hold. And that would be one set. The next one would be a little lower and you hold. So you're basically breaking down the full range of motion into 3 or 4 isometric contractions. And now you've done a full range of motion leg press. The difference is I've paused at each one. And when she's paused, I encourage her to tense up every part of her body. So she can tense up your feet. I want you to grip the platform with your feet. I want you to grip it with your toes. I want you to squeeze the handles. I want you to squeeze everything, and then give her a break and rest. Yeah, she's got to increase neural drive. Is what she needs. She needs to do. You
start bilateral. You keep it all kind of balanced, and then you start doing split stance, and work your way up to the more imbalanced positions. But really, that's the progression.
No, that makes perfect sense. What about nutritional intervention? Do you think taking collagen would be even more important for someone like this?
Protein in general, collagen in general is fine. But yeah, you're looking at neural drive. This is a neural drive issue. This is not a muscle issue. Okay. Mm-hmm.
No, that makes perfect sense. That all makes sense to me. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Excellent.
You got it,
Well,
bro.
I appreciate you guys so much. I mean, thank you for all the content you put out. Everything you guys put in every podcast is so valuable. And I mean, you guys have changed countless lives with your podcast. And not only are you inspiring in the fitness and nutrition world, but as far as like being a good dad, I mean, you guys are just awesome people. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I love what
5
you guys
years?
do. I love what you guys do so much. I haven't bought anything.
Hey,
I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, look, listen. These clients can be very challenging to work with because it's so opposite.
Yeah, but you know what?
Encounter.
If you're listening and you're a trainer, we have something for everybody.
Yeah.
For every fucking challenge you've ever had. And if you reach out, you can reach out to us personally. You can reach out to our chat bot that we have where Margaret and them are on there. They'll point you in the right direction of program that you should be. You can literally pull from our, and then when say progress, Justin's point, then you move to symmetry. And what does symmetry have for the first 2 weeks? Isometrics.
exactly.
And then you go into all the unilateral work. I mean, we have something for every challenged client you'll
We tried
ever
to
have.
figure out every pain point that we've ever seen.
And if you're a trainer and you're listening to this and you do not fucking own Prime and Prime Pro, that makes me so angry because there's not a trainer in the world that will not benefit from that. And that those two things you can apply to every client. You should apply. Prime should be the way you start every single client if you really want to individualize how they warm up for their workouts and get ready for anything. And then Prime Pro is working on any major imbalances, deviations, if I need to do some isometric stuff for somebody like this.
Yeah.
It is the answer for every one of your clients, and it's such an incredible resource for such a small investment. The education and knowledge that is, it's an accumulation of all of ours plus Dr. Brink's of 20 plus
Physical
years.
therapists and chiropractors use it as well.
Yes,
So
it's an incredible
it's very
tool.
valuable.
If you're a trainer and you're listening, you got to pick those two everybody should have those programs.
Our next caller is Eric from Florida.
What's up, Eric?
How you doing, Eric?
What's happening?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're good, man. How can we help you?
Let's see. So I'll get into the email. Started with how can I hack my mindset? This is a two-parter. I started lifting seriously and consistently back in July. I made it through RGB. I just finished aesthetic a couple days ago. I seem to love hitting PRs, which at this stage in the game seems to be mostly every week. When I hit PRs, usually every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that day ends up super productive, and so I'm in a really good mood for a big chunk of the day. So one, how can I get the same feeling or productivity at least on my off days? I seem to have a formula to have a successful day, but it's only 3 days a week plus the 2 days of light pumps, but those don't give me the same feel. And then two, how can I prepare myself for when the glorious, every day or every week is a PR day is over? I'm 29 now, but know that day's coming, even if it isn't for, a little bit now.
Yeah.
This is a fun conversation that I don't think we've really had. And this is less to do with the training and more to do with the reframing. It's actually a very dangerous place to get that you get addicted to this PR feeling, because that absolutely is going to change. And then at one point you'll be where all of us are at, where you're in the mid 40s and you're weaker than you were when you were. So, and that could be depressing if you are hung up on the amount of weight that is moving on the bar. So my advice, be interested to hear what the guys would say, is I would want you to really start to peer into the other things, the other benefits that are coming from this new consistency that you've built. Is my sleep better? Is my libido better? Is my skin better? Is my overall mood, my energy levels? Like learning to attach all of those other things that this consistency around training is providing you, and not just the adrenaline rush and high that I get from my PR days. Because if you do, and that becomes the driving force, it'll end up leading you down a path of injury or depression because you can't possibly live up to that. So instead of trying to find ways to find more PR adrenaline high days, I would actually be, if you were my client, be trying to get you to reframe the way we look at all the other parts of your life that have been positively impacted by this consistency.
Yeah, it's Well, first correction. I think Justin and I are probably the strongest. We're still. No, I'm just kidding.
We're just like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm just kidding. You know, Eric
says the guy with one hamstring.
Yeah. It wasn't from lifting. That was from sprinting.
Yeah, running.
I did the one thing I never
You're trying to do the sports thing.
Yeah,
not
see,
good.
I do it.
Yeah.
No, so here's the deal with this, Eric. Exercise is a great thing to do. Health is a great thing. It is awesome, but it is not awesome when it becomes your top God, your priority. So there's a lot of things in life that are good that if you put them in the wrong order can become bad. And so if you start to worship PRs, if that starts to dictate everything, if you start to worship muscle and fitness, even health, then it starts to move in the wrong direction. And so what you're talking about is a relationship that is starting to develop that will turn this good thing into something that starts to tyrannize you. Okay, it starts to become a God with no grace, if you will. So the way you want to look at it is this: the relationship that you're aiming for with exercise in particular is that you start doing it for the joy of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it although it's great to hit PRs and it feels good to get a good pump and all that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that'll always feel good. But doing exercise for the sake of the joy of doing the exercise, going to the gym for the sake of the joy of movement, the joy of the fact that I'm here is where you want to go. And when you get there, because here's what's going to happen. Even everything Adam said, although Adam's telling you the next step, but even with what he's saying, libido, energy, sleep, at some point, those aren't going to continue to improve. And at some point, if you're blessed, you'll get older, which is a blessing, but some of those things will decline. Like you're not going to be 90 with the same sleep and libido that you had at 29, no matter how consistent you are with exercise and diet. So even those could start to move in the wrong direction. So at some point, all these measurable improvements will stop. And sometimes even before aging, I mean, you might get sick, stress might happen, whatever. I mean, you're young, but things happen in life. And so the goal is for the joy of just doing it. So it's the joy of the fact that I'm here, the joy of the movement itself, the joy of exercise itself. That'll never go away. That'll always be great. And then the relationship becomes appropriate and it doesn't rule over you. It becomes something that serves you, not something that you serve.
I think in order to get there, you have to learn to attach it to other things.
Totally, that's the next step.
And there's certain things that won't decline when you get older. You'll find this out. When I work out, I'm a better father than when I don't work out. I'm a better husband. I'm a better business partner, and that'll never decline. I'll always be a better version of myself when I work out. And so those things you attach to. You attach that. Oh wow, I'm more productive around the house with my wife when I get that workout. I may not have hit a PR. It may have been a rough workout. It may not have been my best anything, but because I did it, I'm better in all these other aspects. And so learning to look at it through that lens is how you move away from having to hit records, having to look a certain way all the time. And this is natural, and everybody, I think, in some form or another faces this. And good coaches and trainers have the ability to step their clients through this process because it is fun to hit PRs, and there's nothing wrong with chasing these milestones. I think it's a good thing and it's awesome you're doing it. But at some point, as you've already alluded to, I know it's going to end. I know I can't PR forever. And so that's the conversation I'm already having with you is like, what else are you noticing, man? You notice how you're getting stuff done at work, how you're getting stuff run with your family, and you start really and you go, oh yeah, you know what? You're right, Adam. Like
we're all just speaking to balance.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, it's fun right now. You're in this phase of like, wow, this is exciting. Like I haven't seen my body do this before. And it's appealing, and it's something that, it's the juice that's driving you right now. But and you're already aware that this is just something that you have to consider all these other elements and components of health and fitness. And, how do I sort of turn my eyes into different directions? How do I fit or fill all these other gaps that I might be because I'm obsessively like drawn to this? And that's just something you just got to constantly kind of look at this. I always call it like a pie chart. Like I'm looking like where some of my deficiencies might lie because my emphasis is so heavy in this direction. And so to just kind of like work your way around and keep filling those holes that, you're neglecting. And that could be relationships. That could be, sleep. That could be whatever it is, like, doing things and being productive around your house and cleaning or at work, whatever it is. But, right now is exciting. So yeah, you just got to kind of pay attention, monitor it, and try to look ahead and see what's next that you can kind of.
What's cool about this? This is just if you do this forever, it's a never-ending developing relationship.
It's a wheel, man.
You're not going to hit a destination. There's no end point if you do this forever. So this relationship will continue to evolve. It's just going to always continue to evolve. And evolution is a process. You get the right mindset. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
The question that you're asking me or asking us tells me you're going to be fine. If you ask, it's just the simple fact that you ask this,
you're aware of it.
I'm like, oh, he's going to do great.
Yeah.
He's going to have some challenges because you're going to, but you're going to do great. Just the fact that you're even asking this at your age.
Have fun with it right now. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Eric, are you in our private forum yet?
No, on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Doug put that. I think having a great community is also helpful with a conversation like this. Yeah, so I'm gonna have Doug put you in there, and when you have moments like this, you have questions. I mean, you just post in there. It's such a great community of other like-minded people that probably have already gone through what you're going through, and we're in there also. So we'll set you up in there so we can communicate with you in there.
Awesome, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it, man. Thanks for calling in.
All right, Eric.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
You got it. I think at some point, I'll stop chasing PRs and Greg Gates. My relationship eventually will evolve. No, I mean, I'm speaking to myself as much as I am to him.
Yeah.
And it is an evolving relationship that you'll have with this thing that you do forever, just like anything you do forever. But he's 29. He just started. He's in the early days of gains. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's thinking this way, he's ahead of 99%.
He's seen ahead, so
way ahead. But people, when the people start to ask this, when they've hit the wall so hard that they're crashing.
They're using all the
they've already been hurt 3 times.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
They beat themselves up and all that stuff. So
he's got a good head on his shoulder.
Totally.
For sure.
All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat for men. This is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.